And on today's forecast, we have the Weather Painter deck profile. So, hey guys, what's up? It's Crowded9 here with my Weather Painter deck profile. Wanted to show you guys because I've been enjoying this deck a lot. I've had it since its release, and I feel finally comfortable enough to show you guys how I'm running it because it's just a fun deck. The concept of it is really cool. It plays similar to Mech Knights and how Musketeers play with the whole column mechanic, and I just wanted to give you guys a bit more detail on it. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video coming up, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to click that, well, I guess subscribe button again. If you liked the video, let me know. If you didn't like the video, let me know why. I'm always willing to hear your thoughts. So before we begin the deck profile, I feel like I do need to show you guys this really quickly, how the Weather Painters work. So zoomed out real quickly. So Weather Painters work in a concept of, columns and adjacent columns. So even though I want to show you guys the deck profile, I feel like this is important for newer players who are playing this deck to understand and see. So for example, right, we have the canvas here. So this canvas applies this effect to these three cards because it's above and adjacent to them. But for example, if you had Thunder over here and you had Zone 4 empty, this would not apply to Zone 4, which means that this will not work with this effect. However, Thunder can still use its own effect, but not the snowy canvas. And that is how more or less this deck worked. And I feel like it really is important to show you guys just how they work in core, I guess, understanding. But let's go ahead and get straight to the profile now. So we're playing 3 copies of Weather Painter Snow. So Snow lets you go ahead and place a Weather Painter canvas card to the field. So they can't ash it, they can veil it if they want, permanence if they want, but it cannot be ashed. And it's just free pluses. And for the most part, like I mentioned with the canvas cards before, you can go ahead and apply the canvas effect to the monster. It'll banish it for cost and apply the effect of the canvas. So they can't ghost ogre or anything because technically the canvas isn't activating, it's the monster effect that's activating. But because it's being banished for cost, ogre misses, it doesn't hit anything, as an example. So that is how the Weather Painters work and why we're playing 3 of the probably best normal summon of your deck. Finally, now we're playing 3 copies of Weather Painter Thunder. So Thunder lets you send a continuous spell or trap card from the field to the graveyard and then place a Weather Painter card to the field. So because you're able to do any continuous spell or trap, and we're playing quite a bit of them to be honest with you, you have versatility with this card. And I'll show you guys a neat little combo later for an alternative if you can't afford a certain card in this deck. And again, all the Weather Painter monsters have the same effect. They gain the effect of the canvas cards and you can use them. So we're playing 2 clouds, which is actually one of the best ones and underutilized ones. So if another Weather Painter card leaves the field, you can go ahead and activate Cloud's effect to bring back 2 canvas cards from the graveyard to the field. And that's really strong. So there's a little synergy combo with the deck as well. So again, that's Cloud. And the synergy is with Sun. So we're only playing 1 Sun, but basically if he's in the graveyard, you're able to activate his effect. You're going to be sending a continuous spell or trap card from the field to the graveyard to special summon him in defense mode. And then if you have a Cloud on the field, Cloud will trigger to bring them back. So again, really strong card and great combos. And then we're playing 1 copy of Weather Painter Aurora. Whole point of Aurora is that she will protect your canvas cards from destruction, and that's really strong in a format with Lightning Storm. And yeah, I mean, honestly, Aurora's great. You can play her at multiples than 1. She's pretty easy to special summon in the deck now. I think 1 is still fine. I don't really want to play more, but that's me. So we're playing, in terms of hand traps, 2 copies of Ash Blossom. Probably one of the strongest hand traps still in the game. I'm trying to get more variety out of my hand traps in this deck as opposed to more, in a way, consistency, if that makes sense. So I'd rather see 1 Ash than see 2 Ashes in my hand. Following that, we're playing 2 copies of the new hand trap, Ghost Mortar and Moonlit Chill. Really strong card. In my opinion, it's a little bit better than Veiler because you can use this on either player's turn, and if your opponent gets a special summon on your turn, Veiler is dead. Granted, this can also be done in battle phase, end phase, main phase, like whenever. However, Veiler is only on the main phase, so it depends on your preference, it depends on what you prefer. Moonlit Chill does require a bit more setup in a way because it has to be on the special summon, while Veiler could be at any time frame. So up to you, whichever you prefer. And then finally, we're playing 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, which I will still say best hand trap in the game in my opinion. You're just able to make your opponent lose resources while you just gain resources in a way. So if your opponent gets a Needle Fiber play and you activate this, where do they go from there? They lost their Link Cross play or whatever they might be going into. If you start hitting the Numeron engine, the field card, what are they going to do? They can't continue. There's a lot of versatility and a lot of options with this deck that you can be going with. So in terms of the spell cards, we're playing 3 Snowy Canvas, which is the best canvas of them all in my opinion. You can go ahead and banish a Weather Painter monster, and then search out any other Weather Painter card. Sorry, weather card. So it could be a canvas, it could be a monster, doesn't really matter. However, after you resolve this effect, you can no longer add cards from the deck to the hand. However, you can still activate the effect to banish for cost so they come back on your standby phase. You just can't resolve the activation, so you can't resolve the effect to add, and that's fine. So that leads into some shenanigans, which I'll show you guys in the deck in a little bit. We're playing 1 copy of Rainy Canvas. You're able to banish to bounce cards from your opponent's field, so banish your Weather Painter Snow, for example, and then bounce one of your opponent's set cards. So during the end phases, kind of like a pseudo compulse for back row, and that's really strong. Also, deactivate Mystic Mind, chain it. Just chain, get it out, get it out. 3 Extravagance is unfortunately one of the best cards in this deck. Just banish 6 cards, draw 2, something this deck really needs. You need draw power. However, I do understand not everyone can afford the price tag on it. I believe it's $40 or higher even for the ultra rare. So I did think about an alternative. This is one card that we've been kind of playing in and out in this deck, and that's Valhalla. So this combos pretty well with Sun, Cloud, and Thunder. So for example, if you have Thunder in your hand along with Valhalla, you can activate Valhalla, special summon special summon Thunder. Thunder effect activates to send the Valhalla to graveyard, and then you get to activate or place a Weather Painter card from your deck to the field. And then you can normal summon, for example, your Snow Canvas, paint your Snow, and then activate a Snow Canvas from there on. Like there's combos with Valhalla as well, but I prefer Extravagance. But again, Valhalla is a good alternative to Extravagance if you can't afford it, because you know it's a $40 card as opposed to a couple cents for a set of Valhallas. Up to you. It just depends, because I understand not everyone wants to spend the money for Extravagance. We are playing 2 copies of Duality as well. This is going to be primarily for your going first plays, so you do need to special summon on the standby phase of both players' turn. So unfortunately this won't always be alive or active, but you really need to start this engine going by a normal summon, by getting something on the board with a couple of canvases. So Duality is going to be there. It's kind of like you hope to see it first and not really second, third, fourth, all those times. And then the last spell card we're playing is Dimensional Fissure. A lot of the decks in the current format just can't lose instantly to Dimensional Fissure. They're going to try getting a Phoenix or some kind of, back row removal against it. And we're playing back row, I guess, negations and activations and all that stuff. So, again, Dimensional Fissure is just really good. And worst case scenario, if it does nothing, you can activate it, summon Thunder, do the whole thing I mentioned earlier. Or, again, if Sun's in the graveyard, Sun can also activate their effect. We're playing 2 copies of Weather Painter Thunder Canvas, the Weather Canvas, and this card is kind of like Compulse in battle phase. So if your Weather Painter monster attacks, you can activate again the effect, banish for cost, and then that monster that was being attacked gets compulsed back to the hand. Really strong card. You only play 2 because you can always recycle it with Cloud, but we don't want to see 3 and not have anything else, because the restriction with the canvases is that you can only have 1 on the field. So that kind of sucks. You can only have 1 of each card, so you can only have one Thunder Canvas, 1 Snow Canvas, 1 Rainy Canvas. You can't have like 2 Thunders on board, for example. That'd be kind of nuts, honestly, though. So following that, the last Weather Canvas card we're playing is the Rainbowed Canvas. This card is slightly new from Dane, so if your opponent controls a monster, it doesn't have to be more, as long as they control a monster in general, you can go ahead and banish one of your Weather Painter monsters that's adjacent to that, and special summon 1 from your deck. You can't special summon any other Weather Painter cards from your deck, and that's fine. You only need 1. And you get Aurora out. And Aurora, again, protects all your back row, so you're perfectly fine from there on. But again, you only play 1 because you can always search this out or get it placed out with Snow or with Thunder. So now for the more generic cards that we're playing is 2 copies of Torrential Tribute. Because everything banishes for cost, you can go ahead and banish everything on your board, start breaking your opponent's board, activate Torrential, and then your opponent just lost all their resources, and that's really strong. I also think Torrential is kind of underutilized. there's not a lot of board protection currently in the game. We're not really seeing a resurgence of Orcus or Salamangreat. So for the most part, board protection isn't as prevalent. And I think honestly Torrential Tribute is just really underutilized. You can play it easily and break boards. That's strong. Start the second your opponent makes Mecha Phantom Beast, activate this. See what happens. You win. So finally we're playing 2 copies of Judgment. Yes, I know, different rarities. But overall, you don't have like a built-in archetype negate, counter trap. You have to play Judgment. It sucks because you're paying half your life points, but sometimes it's needed. This deck is a stun deck. It's a control deck. It grinds. It likes to grind. Following that, we're playing 2 copies of Solemn Strike. Similar concept, no built-in counter trap. This can just stop plays as well. Hit your opponent's Needle Fiber. See where they go from there on. You know, there's a lot of options with this card, and I just think it's really good considering you want to go first with this deck all the time. So for the remaining hand trapped, we're playing 2 Impermanence. It's just overall really good. Works really well as well in this deck. You know, traps, set it, activate it on your opponent's turn. It does a lot. Okay, I think it's one of the best hand traps. I don't play 3 in this deck because I need variety. I need versatility. I need to make sure I see other cards in this deck too. 2 copies of Crackdown. What's better than just taking your opponent's resources and using it for your own, or just using it for, I guess, defense in a way, right? I think Crackdown's really underutilized. Again, it's a continuous card, so once that monster is not needed anymore, you know what to do. And then for the final one, it's Macrocosmos, which is going to be basically Dimensional Fissure for everything. Really strong. And again, it's a continuous trap card, which if you need it, you can get rid of it. Not that hard. And the last card, because Weather Painters can actually play through Skill Drain, is Skill Drain. So because the Weather Painters technically gain the effect of the canvas cards, they can't use their own effect, but they can still use the canvas cards. I know it's weird with how this whole thing works with the Ghost Ogre interaction, but hey, it works, and that's all that matters. So, Skill Drain. Just make your opponent not have anything to use. That's it for the main deck. Let's go into the extra deck, which is going to be a lot of 1-ofs, honestly. I was thinking about playing 3-ofs, but this deck doesn't really need the extra deck. It's more of like, hey, if you have it, you can sometimes use it. Because the whole point is you want to start using the canvases to gain control and start poking for damage as opposed to OTKing for damage. Which is kind of a problem this deck has, but it's also one of the biggest strengths it has. So we're playing 1 copy of Weather Painted Rainbow. It's actually so good. Like, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the effect. Like, it's kind of strange how this card isn't utilized more. When your opponent would special summon monsters, quick effect, you can send this link summon card to the graveyard, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. Once per turn during the standby phase after this card has been banished, blah blah blah, you know the effect. So, fun fact, if this card has 3 materials underneath it, you have 3 solemn judgments essentially. That's nuts! It's actually so good! What? It's just really hard to get out, and by the time you can get it out, you're probably winning the game anyways, so then you have to get materials underneath it, but I digress. I'm just going to go through this because, again, the extra deck is not really that important in this. 1 copy of Hida, you have the Sun as a fire target, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Unicorn, 1 Topologic Trisbana. Even though this kind of hurts you too, sometimes you do need it. Honestly, it kind of sucks. It's one of those like necessary evils of this deck. 1 Decode Talker, 1 Celine, 1 BLS because you play Crackdown, so you might be able to take a high monster. 1 Mech Knight Crusadia, 1 Access Code, 1 Borreload, 1 Boral Sword, and then again Crackdown in case you go against that 1 stray Orcus player. You're gonna be probably losing them all anyways to, you know, your extravagance, but that's fine. The extra deck, the side deck doesn't really matter. I kind of just took it apart from my Invoke one, kind of. 3 Nibiru, 3 DD Crows, 3 Mystic Minds, Raigeki Mind Control, Heavy Storms, and Imperial Order. Different sleeves, I know. Just wanted to show you guys that. But guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to stay safe and take it easy.